Good morning, everybody. What's going on? I normally, don't post videos or anything like this on Facebook, but I've received a couple emails as of late. I received like one yesterday and one today as well. And I'm not doing this to explain myself um, at all. I'm just doing this to show you the hypocrisy and what I've been going through since I've started Luncheon Point Project. Um, my about a year ago, I started my organization with the intent of helping, trying to make another civil organization being moved by everything what was going on. And at the same time, the more forums I sat in, the more I, kept hearing where the black fathers at. But even based upon my personal, you know, experience, that it's a hurdle to, fight for your children. If you don't got money, it's a hard road to hoe. But this letter I got, I'm not gonna expose this brother again. If he send me one more letter, then I'm gonna post it on Facebook and put him on blast because he's the type that he'll send you an email, but he won't respond to anything or talk to you like a man. So, but the email contained it was based upon my last post about how I posted and it's funny because I didn't even know he was on my friend list, and I know he ain't got that many Facebook friends, but he stated that I was, perpetuating the feminine spirit in the church by saying that the church need to focus on, don't worry about same-sex marriage and LGBTQ rights. But to me, it's not non-consensual acts more severe than consensual acts? Do not non-consensual acts like molestation, financial embezzlement, parental alienation impact the community that much more? And, so why not focus on something that children are going to be damaged well after the event opposed to two consensual people? But he also stated in this letter that, I'm anti-God, I'm anti-church, and, I don't know God, all this other stuff, man, And I would put his name out there, but he's affiliated with a church that's kind of going through a situation right now. I believe it's reaping what you sow, but hey, but I don't want to add insult to injury. But to kind of hit a couple points, he talked about the reason why people are leaving the church is due to people like me, and but it's actually due to the church inability to be relevant with community issues at the time. And the paradigm is just in need of a change. When the last time you heard your pastor preach about community justice reform or criminal justice reform or sexual abuse and exploitation, how to identify it in the church, and also parental alienation, you know, and once again, I go back to the meetings when I sat through, these forums and these workshops where, these people come together supposedly to come up with a resolution, but all they come to do is talk, because I've never heard a preacher have a workshop for fathers who fight for their children. And, I'm not saying that, fathers are not alienating their children, but there's a whole bunch of fathers who situation is not being highlighted because they're not being mentioned, because many times, we don't go through it, so we don't identify with it, because I don't know about you, but how many times have you heard of a preacher preaching against parental alienation on Father's Day? I wait. Or criminal justice reform. How many times you even heard or seen preachers that got, many, you got 8 blocks, you got 8 churches in one block, 1 or 2 blocks in the community, and no community presence. So it's, to me, it's kind of ridiculous. That is your reason right there. And again, no one is stating that there are not absent fathers. And I'm not defending those. Actually, I wish I can be those, and many men like me and many men in the organization we fight for, because, you get to have access to your children without drama. You don't have to file injunctions. You don't have to file motions. You don't have to, email the governor's office and, pull up statutes and research law. But a lot of times, a lot of fathers in that situation don't have access to funds to fight, or they got to leverage credit and debt and things of that nature, But we can't keep allowing people to use the pulpit and keep preaching where the fathers at, where the black fathers at. But then not only you don't address the issue, but you do it to a church full of women. Then not only that, you elevate women in many of these ministries who are actively keeping good fathers away from their children. Not only that, they'll keep fathers, good fathers who've been there school and bed day managers to take off work from their kids and allow their children to be around a man who molested a member in their family. And then while they're abusing their kids at the same time. You accidentally punching your child in the head, knocking them on the floor. And he comes to school with a knot. But because you know how to play their role, no one holds nobody accountable, you know? And that's the sad part about it, because it's emails like this. So this is the first one I received. I received a couple of these, you know, but it's on us to hold people accountable, because you can't keep having this narrative that black men ain't in their kids' life, and some of them aren't. But then you got to tell the whole story. What about the men who are fighting? What about the men who you've elevated in your position or one of your ministries? You know what's going on. But a lot of times it don't get exposed because there's a how do I put it, a cycle of reciprocation. If you cover up my financial, indiscretions as a leader, then I'm gonna continue to push you as a good mother or a good father or a good husband or a good, wife, when based upon your fruit, you're garbage, and you operate in deception, And please understand, I'm not against single mothers, but you can't discriminate against real single mothers in many of your ministries. Then you elevate a mother who's manufactured her own single motherhood. Yeah, women give birth, but so do rats. And I'm not making light of giving birth, but we can't say that every mother is a good mother. Definitely when you beat the hell out your children and punch them in the floor accidentally, then you bribe them. Like, you can't continue to allow that, because that's the greatest hypocrisy. Then you want to talk about you want to build a community. But what happens in that reciprocation cycle is that, by hiding or covering up leadership secrets, is that you, by default, that leader becomes a spiritual hitman, and he utilizes the pulpit to kill anyone or kill anyone character who try to hold you accountable based upon your actions. So then he also stated that, it's obviously that I don't believe in God. And, and I'm just exposing people like this, man, because they don't understand that they're not relevant. They don't even have what they advertise. If you go into Popeyes and there's no chicken in Popeyes, you're not going to sit there and shout and hope it comes. You're going to leave because you wanted Popeyes chicken and biscuits. You didn't want the sides. You came in for the chicken. So that's what happened to me in these churches. You come in for the chicken, and they offer you sides of God instead of how to seek God, And it's not all churches. There's some really good churches, really good pastors out there. I know firsthand. But what happened is that those good pastors get overtaken in preachers by people who shouldn't even be in the pulpit. But yet we don't say that because we give them blanket immunity because they operate in the office, even though that's not even scripturally correct. So, but as far as my belief, I'm not anti-church. I'm not anti-God. My pursuit of God took me outside the Bible. I just simply couldn't believe that this omniscient, omnipotent, divine entity is bound by 66 books. And after studying like the synods of Carthage and, councils of Nicaea and, Ephesus, you and many others, like most of what we believe is derived from an agreement that was made after the fact. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just telling you what I've learned in my experience. And that, and after studying and seeking, because it took me beyond church, it took me beyond God. Because I tried that whole holy lifestyle. And I'm not saying you shouldn't try to live a somewhat moderate or, holy, or a moral standing lifestyle. But I've seen a lot of people in this holy lifestyle behind the scenes. It's not about the lifestyle. It's about covering up what they are afraid to show others. So you try to cover up your flaws. But I just couldn't like reconcile, like how does this omniscient, all knowing, all powerful God is bound by 66 books, and 66 books, this one singular book with 56 chapters, and that's the Christian Bible, you know, because if my God is bound, this all powerful, and the definition of power is the ability to create an action. This all powerful divine energy is bound by one book that's talking about the source. Is my God a god, or is my God a genie? Instead of rubbing the lamp and hoping he come out and grant wishes, I'm rubbing the Bible and hoping he come out and make blessings. I'm using he because that's what we do traditionally, because God is a spirit and there's no gender, association with God. You've been conditioned to teach so, but it's not so. If God's a spirit, then spirits have anyway. But that's my perspective, and that's what really got me back to seeking God again. Because it's funny, because even the Bible, it states, it's God who gives power to get wealth to establish His covenant in the earth, and the definition of power is the ability to create an action. So we gotta, what kind of actions have we created for manifestation, and what actions have we created that lined up with what we prayed about. And I find it amazing that when you talk like this, people get offended. Oh, you're trying to say you God, but Psalms 82 and 6, and 7 talks about you are God. You are all sons of the Most High, but you're destined to die like mere mortals. But yet, that's blasphemous, even though it's in the Bible. No one's saying that we're equal to God, but you are made like God in the earth, and you have to create and find that God inside of you. Because his email stated that, you are, you're detrimental to religion. And for me, religion is a system created to follow someone else's path of enlightenment and worship. Period. That's someone else's revelation. It's like the Bible tells you about the source, but you never seek to have a relationship with the source yourself. Because it's easier to worship a thing than to be it. Like people who pray without the intent of taking action, they're not praying to get an understanding. They're praying to, to shift responsibility of taking action to be God in the earth and create like God, because you are made in the image of God per the Bible, right? So it's just crazy when I get these type of emails. So this is the first one, like I said before, that I received, man, and it's just crazy because we got real issues going on, and you sitting there want to worry about church. And I never, maybe I'm crazy, but I thought the Great Commission was to go into the hedge and in the highways, not into a building. But and I'm not knocking anyone who go to church every Sunday, but we can't sit here and say that nothing more is not needed. But a lot of times we don't take action in prayer because we don't want to take a position. You don't want to be considered wrong, or you will use, I'm just praying about it. I'm just praying about it, because you don't want to take a position, even though God told the church in the book of Revelations in chapter 3 and 15 that I know your deeds, that you are neither hot or cold. Oh, I wish that you was either one. So because you are lukewarm, not neither hot or cold, I won't spew you out my mouth. So God told the church in Revelation to take a position, but yet we use prayer as a scapegoat not to take a position. And the reason you don't take a position because you offended, or you afraid what someone's gonna say, because you've been conditioned to fall in line instead of think. And it's amazing, because we still worship people, even though you're created in the image of God. You got the Spirit of God inside of you. My walk changed when I stopped seeking God externally and started seeking God internally. But yet we still worship people, because it's easier to worship than to be. It's easier to worship than to create action. And that's what I conveyed to this brother, man. It is this is too much. How many people done died believing in an ideology that was self-centered? You know how many people done died sowing the seed that they'll get healed, but they never got healed? How many times that we've allowed our community to be decimated? How many times that we allow marriages to be decimated because someone gave blanket immunity over one spouse because they did more for the ministry? And yet we say nothing, but when it comes down to, same-sex marriage. I personally don't care because it don't impact me what two consensual people do. But yet at the same time, you know, blocking a good father when there's this outcry against black men not being fathers. Definitely, if it's the pastor, it's a black man himself. Is that not hypocritical? But a lot of times this happens because that person want to be the focal person in ministry. They want to be able to push that spirit of Boaz, so they become Boaz to a lot of people, even if you married or not married. I defend you. I'm gonna defend you. I'm gonna cover up for you because you cover up for me. It's a hustle, man. So, it's just enough is enough. Like at first I was unsure about which direction I need to go with my organization, but it seems like I'm in the right path because I get emails like this, and it's crazy because this person never sat down with me, like many people. They'll never sit down with you to see your fruit. The Bible says that, the Bible states, let us reason together. But no one wants to reason with anyone because everyone wants to have a moral high ground. I don't want to know the truth because it gives me joy to know that someone else is going through, even when you don't even know the whole situation. So you wonder why people don't go to these churches. Why would I sit in the church when you don't even care about my issue? No one's asking for a hand me out. No one's asking for, for you to fix all my problems, man. Teach me how to move in this reality. And that's what these churches are failing to do, some of them. I don't need to know about this external God when there's an internal God inside of you that's so much more powerful, that gave you a mind to create. I give you power to get wealth, to establish my covenant in the earth. I give you power to create actions in the earth, to establish my covenant in the earth. But yet, we got this thing that we can't hold people accountable because they get these positions. Don't judge. And there's a distinct difference between judging and accountability. Accountability is that I got facts. This is what I've done. This is what you did. This is what I got in front of you. Judging is my opinion, my perspective. It's like judging a beauty pageant. The judges have a certain, perception of what beauty is. But I hold you accountable is I got stuff in front of here, man. I got these texts. I got these videos. I got your kids saying this. I got you saying this. I got statements. I'm seeing rental properties, the church, like all this stuff you got proof of. But yet we don't hold them accountable. We be silent on molestation, even telling people, don't say nothing, just pray. It's the church responsibility. I know he's, got these sexual, settlements out there. Don't say nothing. Just pray. But then you would judge someone who's doing a consensual act. Come on, man. Like, that's stupid to me, man. Like, that's why we haven't tapped into the fullness of God. Because there's a place in God that's above worship, that's above tongues. It's simply a place of being. When I stopped trying to be perfect, and for me, salvation changed from not being free from sin and denying sin, but embracing my full humanity. I like to have me a nice adult beverage every now and then, and, have me a nice little, beer or whatnot. And, and sometimes I may get mad. Sometimes I may cuss. But you finna rebuke someone for going out, cussing or having a beer, but you silent on molestation to the point that you will let children who you oversee be around that same person. But you silent on when people mismanage funds to a point that they utilizing those funds for personal benefit when they stated that these funds will be assigned to a certain outreach or a certain initiative. But you silent on that though. And it's crazy because I understand you don't have to get in the middle of anything, but if you don't want to get in the middle of anything, don't allow someone to speak on something and bring you in the middle of it. You know what? I don't know. I don't think it's right. Have you talked to that person yet? Well, no. All right, then. You should talk to that person and see what's really going on. But now, oh, yeah, they do that. You do that. It's people, and when you don't say anything, it's people who will sit there and not say anything. And when your silence gives consent. So I'm off my soapbox. I just want to share that, share this gross hypocrisy, and, because there's a lot of people who feel like that. So I just wanted, who feel like that the church seems to leave them behind. If you know how to shout and you do more for the ministry, you get blanket immunity. And it, like I said, it's not all churches. It's some good pastors out there, but we can't hold this double standard that we want our officers, good officers, to speak out against bad officers. But good pastors should just be silent when it comes to corrupt pastors. You know, if we for equality across the board, then let's be for equality across the whole board, not just part of it, or not one that suit ourselves. So have a good day. Deuces.